Hello, it's time for another Combat Patrol unboxing. So I finally managed to get issue 34 filmed, edited and posted, so I hope you've enjoyed those videos. And of course that does mean we've come to the end of another delivery. But fear not, because, well, today we've just had delivery 10. And I can't actually show it because it's a pretty big package, but it is, of course, a bonus delivery as we have our second premium kit. So yeah, we got the last 2 units of our Chaos Space Marines, so 2 issues for the Havocs and 2 issues for the Helbrute. We have the premium kit, so that adds us the Daemon Prince to our Chaos Space Marines and the Howling Banshees to our Aeldari. I'm really interested to see how they paint the Howling Banshees, especially in the Aeldari ruins, because it will give us an idea of how we're going to be finishing off the bases for the rest of our Aeldari collection. But yeah, it's going to be a chock-a-block video. Like I said, we finished off our Chaos Space Marines, which is good. It is a little on the weak side for savings. I think we're about just roughly 50% saving. Both kits are about £40, so yeah, we're just under 50% saving as we pay premium £47. So if you are on the regular subscription, yeah, you're still roughly 50% saving. But adding in that premium kit, it does give us a bit more of a saving, as those are 2 pretty pricey kits. I think most of the Aspect Warriors are around the £40 mark anyway, and the Daemon Prince I think is about 50 to 60. He's a chunky kit, but is a beautiful updated one that can be used for either Age of Sigmar or 40k. Personally, I'm going to be adding my Daemon Prince to my Emperor's Children, which are getting closer to completion. I'm roughly halfway through the box now. I'm almost finished on a squad of Noise Marines. I've done 1 of each of the 2 different infantry squads, and I've done the character. But this Daemon Prince, plus some of the other spare Chaos Space Marine stuff in my collection, will certainly add to my army. Right, enough rambling then. Let's get the normal stuff out of the way so we can get on to do our unboxing. And the normal stuff is the usual. If you've been enjoying the Combat Patrol content, please do like these videos, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, and please drop me a comment down below. What are you doing with your premium kit too? Well, as I said, the Daemon Prince is going to my Emperor's Children, and my Howling Banshees will probably be done as the magazine says, but will be added to my Iandan force rather than the actual Combat Patrol collection. Going to be a little bit harder when it comes to selling, of course, but I do enjoy the Aeldari anyway. They are a fun little faction to play with, especially after that last game I played. Finally then, Combat Patrol Carnage is proudly sponsored by warbay.shop, your one-stop supply for all your hobby needs. They stock everything you need, from models to dice, to templates, to even oddities now such as coasters, artwork, and pin badges and coins. So if there's something you're missing in your collection, check out Warbay. There's the website link, or else they have their physical store if you want to pop down and support them. And who knows, you might find your next hobby project at a bit of a discount. Right then, I've rambled on long enough. Let's hit the table and unbox Delivery 10. Here we are then with our delivery, and as I said, it is a pretty big package. This is actually was folded over, but yes, still it is a fairly chunky package, that big, and reasons are we have quite a lot to go through. So we have our issues. If I can get it out, our all-important premium kit 2. So not the usual big box of a delivery that we get from Hachette, but still we do get a big bag full of big bits. So what do we get? Well, besides the premium kit, we also get 35 and 36 parts 1 and 2 of our Havocs. We then also get issue 37 and 38 parts 1 and 2 of our Hellbrute. So yeah, some really cool models to finish off our Chaos Space Marines. So we'll get down to the table and we will look through the premium kit quickly. We don't want to go too much, as I'll be doing a separate video for that as usual. But my main focus is we're going to try and look through all of these issues as usual. Quick flick through the magazine, finding out what's new for us to read, paint and play with. So let's zoom in and we'll start going through everything. So right, let's dive straight in. I will apologise for the bottom corner down there. The angle I get, I always manage to catch the arm. Not a lot I can do about it unless I flip the entire assembly upside down and film with a massive blockage for my access to the screen, which isn't going to be very ideal for quick stopping and pausing. But anyway, yeah, let's move on. So we'll start things off with Premium Set 2. So, haven't actually looked at this yet, unlike the first one. The delivery did come bang on dinner time, so I was more focused on having food. So let's take a look. So, Daemon Prince and Howling Banshees on the magazine there. We'll take a look at that in a minute. So we get our 528, I think, mil bases. There's our small frame, which has the champion components on. There's our massive Daemon Prince. We've got another base there, which is for the icon, I believe. I think one of these might even be a 25, yes. So yeah, we get 528 and 125 mil base, which are for the Howling Banshees. Then we've got our Daemon Prince kit. So there's some extra bits for Age of Sigmar. We ignore those pretty much. But yeah, we got some awesome pieces to dedicate ourselves to specific gods, if you so choose. We got the wing option there. We got the tail. We got the axe or the sword. I really do like the sword. There's the rest of the Howling Banshees. So they got the different masks. I believe there's 5 Ynnari heads, 5 Craft World heads. Each of them does come with a plume, which adds more detail. And I believe we've got the champion head there as well. I think we got, actually that's the champion's head, sorry. These are the regular helmeted heads, these are the bear heads, but I think there are, again, Craft World and Ynnari versions. So yeah, pretty cool. And we got the base for our Daemon Prince. I believe this is the same 60 mil that we had for the Hive Tyrant. And there's the rest of the Daemon Prince frame. Loads of little skulls that you can attach. Perfect for a Khorne version of this monster. And I think, yeah, mostly humanoid skulls. So yeah, you could use that for 40k. You got more of a Stormcast style mask there, so that's more Age of Sigmar appropriate. Yeah, pretty cool. Let's put this lot back in. We'll take a look at the magazine. So move that off to the side. Bring the magazine in, just have a quick flick through. So build guide, we build our champion there. And each of the different Howling Banshees. So yeah, we're using all the larger helmeted heads. Got all the different plumes there that were used as well. And yeah, just shuriken pistols and combat power swords. Got a statue of Morai Haig there, which was on the 25mm base, and is used now in rules. So you sacrifice a token to activate a special ability, which is pretty good. And move on to the Daemon Prince. So we're building the 40k specific version, but we are also building the specific version without the wings. So if you want to build with wings, you'll have to look at the instructions online. I believe people have posted links for them on the Warhammer Combat Patrol Facebook page. So if you're a member of that, do check out the links there. But yeah, we build up the cannon with the Malefic Talon, and then we got the giant close combat sword there as well, and the power pack. So we go over all of our painting, so we figure out some of the last colours we're getting. So we've got Caliban green there, we've got Coelia green shade is new, Wild Rider red is another new one we haven't got yet, and so is White Scar. Or Flush we've had but we haven't put to use yet, which is another interesting colour to utilise. Strange that it's highlighting the green, although they used a little bit of a brighter green on the Caliban green, but yeah, looks good. So we start with a solid coat of Wraithbone. We use Macragge blue, so that'd be for the lenses, I'm guessing, and gemstones. Abaddon black, lead belcher, Retributor armor, Mephiston red, Caliban green, Mechanical standard grey, and a Wraithbone. So yeah, here we go. We can start seeing how the bases are going to be put together. So that's going to be very interesting for how we paint our Farseer later on when we come to basing models. Putting our shades to use. So Coelia green shade over Caliban green doesn't change it too much, but it does give a nice bit of texture at least and some definition to the folds. Yeah, our Harlequins, Howling Banshees are really looking quite nice as we progress through. So yeah, we want to shade the armor down and then relayer up, which is going to take ages. Recess shading might be a better idea as it will save you from having to relayer too much. And then we're on to highlights. So how to highlight your gems, Wild Rider red and Calgar blue, and then a spot of White Scar. So this does give us an idea of how we're going to be finishing off a lot of our Aeldari models in the future. Moving on to our Daemon Prince. So we're painting him all over with black, picking up the demonic flesh of Baraknar Burgundy there, all the skulls, power armor with Abaddon black and Retributor armor for the Black Legion. Then we put our shades on, so Agrax over the Wraithbone, so all our skulls. Norn Oil over Baraknar, Mechanical standard grey, lead belcher, Mephiston red. Reichland Flesh Shade over Abaddon Sunset and Retributor armor, and Carbo Crimson over the Screaming Pink. And then we start highlighting, so Pink Horror, how to paint the flaming effect on the demonic swords and his armor. That is really good. Glowing runes, that's a nice one. And even how to paint the lava coming out of the base. So some really nice tutorials in this magazine. So yeah, we'll look at more of this, of course, when we come to the actual full review. So then we got our rules for them. We even got the page of the World Eaters one, which is nice. Pity it doesn't show us the instructions for it. So that would have been quite a nice addition. Then we got the Howling Banshee data sheet, and we got a Dark Coronation mission for us to play through. So there we go. I kind of maybe spoiled most of what's going to be for the next video, but yeah. Moving on then, let's start looking at our actual issues. So we'll kick things off with 35. So this is the first part of our heavy weapon coating Havocs. So we get one sprue which has a las cannon, missile launcher, and our champion's weapons. So you can take a choice of different special weapons, flamer, melter, or plasma, and has a choice of a chainsword or power maul. But we will be building pretty much as the picture shows here, so chainsword and plasma gun, rotary cannon, heavy bolter, missile launcher, and a las cannon guy. And speaking of our second frame, does include that rotary cannon, one of the heavy bolters, there are two in the complete set, and we also get the autocannon there as well. And in total we have enough to roughly build 3 guys, so yeah, not enough to build the entire squad just yet. Quickly going through the magazine then, so we got our build guide in this issue, how to put all of our Havocs together, so building the specific weapons. I'm going to try this trick, pulling from the back. Yep, that does work a little better. And most of the pages actually aren't too badly stuck. That one is. And that one isn't. But these two are a little stuck. There we go, pulled off a little easier. And there we go, right. So yeah, top tip, pull the pages from the back. It's a lot easier, it doesn't put as much strain on the pages. But yeah, Building up the las cannon and the missile launcher there as well. Moving on, we got pages about Chaos Renegades. So not all Chaos Space Marines are of the original legions. Some have fallen since, and we learn about the Red Corsairs. Probably one of my favourite Chaos Space Marine factions. Would definitely probably do them as an army at some point. I've painted up a Death Guard kill team in Red Corsair colours, which is quite nice. Nurgle painted in red and black. Army of the Damned, so we learn a bit about the different Chaos weapons and armours. So types of possessed war machines and heavy armours, such as the Obliterators, which take a lot of cues from the regular Space Marine Centurions, which is quite nice, so it ties them all together a bit more. The Hellbrute, which we will get in a couple of issues' time, and Land Raiders. Short story of War, which looks like it's focusing on Samhan Wraith Guard against some Orcs. We have our battle record for the Havocs, as well as their datasheet, so all of the different weapons we get. Then for rules, we look at the charge phase and a quick overview of all the rules so far. So command phase is covered on pages 11 to 12, movement phase 13 to 18, shooting phase 19 to 20, attacks 21 to 24, and weapon abilities 25 to 28. Then we have all about the fight phase, how to pile in, how to make melee attacks, etc. Consolidating, and yeah, there we go. And a look at the next issues. Again, we got the next part of Havocs and then the Helbrute. Speaking of next part, it's issue 36. So, final part of the Havoc Squad. We get the awesome last frame, so another las cannon, another missile launcher, another heavy bolter, and another autocannon, and the last two bodies to make up our last two models. So you can make a pretty much fully anti-infantry squad or a fully anti-tank squad out of this. How the combat patrol goes is a bit of a mix of both. My second set of this, which is in my combat patrol box, which I never got around to building when I bought it a couple of years ago. I'm probably going to build up utilising all of the las cannons left over, etc., and make up a rather anti-tank sort of squad. So that's the only thing my army for Chaos Space Marines is lacking. So put that to one side. Yeah, 40mm bases, so showing off that they are slightly different models, bulkier, regular Chaos Space Marines with heavy weapons. So I've just checked the issue off camera, and this one actually wasn't stuck together, which is an oddity. Not very often I have that. So how the issue starts off with the paint guide for the Havocs. So we paint them much like our other Chaos Space Marines. We start with 3 coats of black, picking out the silver, then the gold, then we can change our water. Start picking out the red, the Wraithbone, Corax white details, Rackar fresh details. Then we got some bits that we need to recolor in with Abaddon black there. Into our shading, so Nuln Oil over the majority of the silver details, the reds, the whites, Agax Earthshade over all of the fleshy tubes, as well as the faces and horns. Black and Flesh Shade over the bare head of the Sergeant and the gold trim. And there's our Havoc so far, and yeah, they look pretty cool. Definitely look good against the rest of the Chaos Space Marines. Moving on, we start looking at the engines of the damned of the Chaos forces. So look, Warp Smiths are tainted Tech Marines. We've got Forge Fiends, Mauler Fiends, which are alternate build. We get one of these later with the World Eaters. Venom Crawlers, I've got one of these guys. Big spider-like things with many eyes, lasher tendrils, and guns. Lord Discordants are Chaos champions who have tamed a Chaos mutated beast and has become its mount, called a Hellstalker. Don't actually have one of these. Maybe might add one. Not really something I kind of like, so maybe not. Then we got things such as Defilers and the Helldrakes. So the Chaos Space Marine Flyer there. And one of the oldest Chaos Space Marine kits still in production, the Defiler, which, yeah, definitely needs an update. Moving on, we learn about the Chaos God Tzeentch. We have a continuation to Bonds of Honor, Part 9. We look at the Silver Templars again, and we look at boarding actions. We see Chaos, some of the different Silver Templar units, Aggressor there, and a Hellblaster, and the Eye of Horus there for Black Legion. Then we move to our core rules. So we look at data sheets this time around, the important parts of the data sheet. Then we look at Big Guns Never Tire, a later scenario. So it starts off with a Winged Prime and 5 termagants against the Havocs. And there's an exit point there. So what we have to do to win, a Chaos Space Marine player gains 1 victory point for each unit that is destroyed. A Tyranid player gains 1 victory point for each unit that makes it out of the exit point. Or into the, to the exit point. So at the end of the movement phase, any Tyranid units in the exit point are removed from the battlefield. This unit is removed. The unit is removed from the battlefield. The game lasts 5 battle rounds. The player with the most victory points at the end is the winner. If both players have equal points, the game is a tie. So first time we are getting a possible tie. So we got deployment table. So during the command phase, you roll a dice, and depending on what you get is what is spawned in. So you can either have 5 termagants, 2 barbed gaunts, or a Von Ryan's Leaper. And it'll be either on a roll of 1 to 3, it'll be zone 1. On a roll to 4 to 6, it'll be zone 2. And yeah, we got a little bit more about the different weapons there. And then we got our victory conditions. And the next issue is another double. So, speaking of the next issue, there's a pattern going on here somehow. Let's move on to issue 37, our first part of the Hellbrute. So yeah, a brilliant kit, a nice update to the old monopose one from Dark Vengeance, which we actually saw in the last issue there. The picture of the Hellbrute there was the old Dark Vengeance monopose one. So we got our first 2 frames, which come with the main components for the legs at least. We got the plasma cannon, the multi-melter, the twin autocannon, the thunder hammer, part of a claw on one frame. And on the other frame, we've got part of the right claw, part of the all the parts of the missile launcher there. We've got the lasher tendrils, and we've got the main parts of the body, as well as the 6 different heads that we can choose from. We'll be utilising, I think it's part 11 to match up with the picture there. Yeah, we've got some nice different ones. We've got some bear heads, some nice Nurgle looking ones. So yeah, some nice interesting heads there. If you want to change around, you can do. Moving on to the issue then, what do we get? So we obviously start with a build guide, and hang on, be right back. Right, almost worked. I think the original opening of the page did seal that page as fake. That's only the front cover, don't matter. So we got the build guide for a Hellbrute. So it says you can choose any of the different heads. Paint guide though will use part 11, and the heads are held in part 10. So yeah, you can only really put one head in, and that's sealed then. It gives you an order of how things need to be glued in. So glue part 8 to part 9 first, then glue part 8 and 9 to the front torso 7 and the 2 bottom halves of the torso there. Then we had the vents and power pack casing. Then we had the front decoration, so we got either big ornate horns, mutated horns, or a sort of chaos icon there. We had the front torso section in, we build the legs. Very simple build for the legs, so 2 halves, front plate, glue it down to the feet, glue the shin guards on, glue some back details on, and you're done. Then we can glue it down to the base. For most of the cable attachments, you are going to need to have, well, I think most of the cable attachments go from torso to weapon arm, so if you want to, you can rotate at the waist joint there. So for this particular weapon loadout, we are going with the Helbrute plasma cannon and the Helbrute thunder hammer, which is all we can use in the combat patrol. As I said, there are somebody who has shared the instructions for this on the this and the Daemon Prince on the community page over on Facebook. So yeah, check that out, and you might be able to give your guys some different equipment if you've already got one of these in your collection. So one thing I will note though is we got 2 different set outs for the arm fittings. So parts 3 and 6 here are used for a more straight sort of pose. There are alternate parts which give your arms more of a raised appearance. So it's up to you, whichever ones you use. Yeah, those are the 2 options. We've got a rather forward-facing plasma cannon and a hammer out ready to smack. Moving on, we've got a little bit about Chaos Space Marines and the Path of Glory, and we see the contents, or well, majority of the contents of the new Combat Patrol. So Master Possession, 5 Possessed, 10 Legionnaires. There's a Chosen there as well for some reason. And there's also meant to be some Chaos Cultists in that set as well. So we learn about the Demon Primarchs, and we see a picture there of Magnus, the Red. And yes, we see the different paths of Chaos. So you start as a lowly Cultist, Chaos Legionnaire, so your mortal followers. Then you become a Possessed, or the Cultist can become mutated. The greatest reward, of course, is Daemon Prince, so Demonhood. And the worst reward is the Spawn Hood. And of course you can become a Tainted Chaos Vehicle. We move on to part 2 of Dark Descent, so our Chaos Space Marine focused story. We get a battle record there for the Hellbrute, so we get to name him. And we can also give him a title from a previous issue. Deployment abilities, so Deep Strike, Infiltrator, Leader, and Scouts. And covering some of the rules to come. So we start learning about stratagems, strategic reserves, terrain features, and aircrafts. And speaking of stratagems, we have kept the full rules now for Space Marine and Tyranid combat patrols. So we learn about enhancements, secondary objectives, and stratagems exclusive to our 2 first combat patrols. So we'll focus on the Space Marines here. So we learn about the enhancements we can give. So the default one is Champion Duelist, or you can go for Oath Sworn Determination if you want to. Our secondary objection is Wrath of the Emperor, or else you can swap that out for Shock Tactics. And then we've got some stratagems, so Gene-Wrought Resilience, Veteran Instincts, and Duty and Honor. And then we've got a similar article for the Tyranids, so covering their enhancements, secondary objectives, and stratagems. So yeah, looks at the Psychostatic Veil, or else you can have the Secretion Goad as your enhancements. So the Secretion Goad makes weapons better, and the Psychostatic Veil makes Bearer has Lone Operative and a 4+ invulnerable save, so it definitely makes your Tyranid Prime a little bit more durable, which is kind of what we've been wanting for in the collection, because he does die pretty easy. So from now on, your Tyranid Prime should be a little healthier. Secondary objectives, you got Alpha Xenoform and or Chitinous Tide, so some extra different objectives there. And stratagems, we got Hyper-Reactive, Voracious Assault, or Teeming Broods, so you can revive some Termagants, which is good, make them a little more durable. And as we are coming to the end of Chaos and Aeldari, we can start looking at our next battle mat. So issue 41 gives us a rather awesome looking Forge World style with Toxic Waste battle mat, and issue 61 will give us part 2 of that. So we'll have 2 different types of battlefield to fight over, which will be nice. Hopefully, though, we are getting some new data cards and terrain cards soon, so hopefully some Mechanicum features will be quite nice. But we can look at what we're getting. So your battles are about to get better. Fight battles with 2 new combat patrols, giving you new strategies and to master and more ways to win. Unlock new ways to play your existing combat patrols with rules for unique stratagems, enhancements, and more. So we'll be looking at the Aeldari and Chaos, obviously, next. But for models and army-wise, we're getting Orcs. Take control of the brutal but cunning warband of fearsome Orcs and their madcap contraptions. And we get Leagues of Votan, so stake your claim and conquer worlds with a redoubtable force of pragmatic warriors from the kin. So we get an Orc War Boss, 2 units of 10 boys, the Boom Daka Snaz Wagon, the Death Dread, and Death Copters. So I really love that combat patrol. It's very reminiscent of the old Blackreach starter set. Only thing missing is a unit of the 5 elite knobs, which I'd like if they did an update kit for, make them a bit beefier and chunkier, make them look really like they're meant to be the real hard boys, because they've done it already for the knobs leading the Orc boys. So yeah, definitely do a squad of those, would be quite nice. For the Votan, so we get Earthkin warriors, Ironkin pioneers, a Carl, the Chthonian berserks, and a unit of the Oathkin warriors. And yeah, pretty cool. We're also getting another premium kit later on. So the premium kit adds us, where's the picture? Killer cans for the orcs and some Brokir Thunderkin for the Leagues of Votan. And when it comes to those kits, I'm definitely doing things by the magazine, as don't really fancy keeping either of these two factions once the magazine comes to its end. So they might be hitting the sale page soon. But yeah, nice to see we're getting some new battle mats to fight over. And we take a look at what's next. Issue 38 then, the Hellbrute, and 39 we get a bonus Aeldari in the form of the Wraith Guard. Whew, this is taking ages, but we're getting there. Last issue then, and I'll bring in everything for my final thoughts. So, issue 38. Here we go then. So we get our final frame and our base for our Helbrute. So we get the lower half of the torso, the decorative icons that go around the fronts of the sarcophagus, the two different arms, so the slightly raised ones and the more straight ones. We get some of the arm components that attach from the weapons to the actual body, shoulder pads, the other claw arm, the barrels of the las cannon, and the twin heavy bolters, or twin storm bolters, sorry, to go on the claws if you built it with the claws. And there was a twin heavy bolter option, there it is. So we've got twin heavy bolters if you wanted to. And even a tentacle coming out, which is pretty cool. So yeah, there we have everything for the Helbrute. Into the issue, we can guess what's going to happen first. It's going to be the paint guide. So, okay, interesting how we're painting the flesh. So we're going to start, of course, with Abaddon Black all over, then we paint the flesh with Squig Orange. Quite interesting. Picking out all the silver details, so we've got a lot of mechanical details coming out of the legs and such, and the Thunderhammer, of course, with Lead Belcher. Hang on again, I'm going to have to do this off camera. So, yeah, Lead Belcher, then we start picking out the Retributor Armour, of course. And then we can change our water after that. And then we start picking out the horns and teeth. So there's quite a lot on this guy, mostly around the sarcophagus here and on top the armor panels. With Wraithbone, Rakoff Flesh to pick out all the fleshy tubes. There's again quite a lot going down the side of the sarcophagus and across his back. Mephiston Red is used to pick out any of the eyes over our model. So his demonic eyes and of course his helmet eyes. So that's our work in progress, looking pretty good. Check this before we move forward, as we're going to start doing our shades next. So Norman Oil for all our silver details, as well as our Mephiston Red details. Agrax Earthshade for all the fleshy tubes and the spine there, and the horns, of course. Micron Flesh Shade for all our gold details, and Carabra Crimson to darken down the flesh. So that's quite interesting. So for nice, ruddy, sort of bruised flesh. And there we have our current work in progress. So definitely a lot of work to do. I think we're going to be relayering the flesh at some point to make it a bit brighter to match the front cover. But yeah, it is actually looking really quite nice. And can't wait to add some more paint to this guy in the future. Moving on, we've got a brand new Warzone to look at. This is Warzone Nephilim. So very heavy focus for the old 9th edition starter set, I think it was, the Space Marines versus Necrons. So yeah, we got the Nephilim subsector, so there's a lot of Necron focused areas, all of Xenos, nodal system, so yeah, that's Necron. Yeah, this is very much like our previous one. We've got to look at some of the smaller sectors up close there. Dramatis Personae, so Rabute Gilliman, Illuminor Zarus, Ephrael Stern, and the Silent King. Then we've got some pages looking at the different favoured of the gods. So this is the Chaos Space Marine warbands that have dedicated themselves solely to a single god, such as the Death God there, who are servants of Nurgle. the Emperor's Children, who are dedicating themselves to Slaanesh, and the Thousand Sons, who made a deal with Tzeentch for immortality, but were cursed to be dust walking around inside empty hollow armor, which is why you don't see many bare heads on the basic troops, but the sorcerers are still living, as they've managed to use their psychic gifts to keep them alive. But the basic troop guys are just, autonomous units, basically. Then we look at the second of our Chaos Gods. We look at more detail about... third, sorry. We had Tzeentch earlier. We look at Nurgle this time around. And, some of these bits and bobs that are reminiscent of a Nurgle affection. Then for our play articles, we look at adding stratagems to our game. So these are the universal stratagems that any faction can use. Hopefully we get data cards in the next delivery, so hopefully we'll get these on data cards, which will be very helpful. But we got different stratagems that we use. So the command reroll is a basic one we've been using so far. We've got counter-offensive and epic challenge. Insane bravery, grenades, so it can be used by anybody with a grenade keyword. You can use a grenade and do mortal wounds, which is pretty cool. Tank shock, so vehicles can ram your opponent's units. Rapid ingress, so allows you to bring in a unit at the end of your opponent's movement phase from the reserve. Fire overwatch, go to ground, smoke screen, and heroic intervention there. So we'll cover those, of course, when we come to the actual full cover of the magazine. Then we have Gauntlet of Pain. So our Chaos Helbrute is put through a rather brutal sort of challenge in order to prove himself to the Chaos Gods. So we got stage table. So each time an opposition unit is destroyed, the game advances to the next stage. This table shows which units should be deployed during the opposition player's command phase to replace the unit that was destroyed. When an opposition unit is destroyed, the game advances to the next stage, and the opposition player deploys the next unit in the stage table during the command phase. New deployed units must be placed in the opposition deployment 9 inches from the Helbrute. So, So Chaos player points and opposition player points. So the Chaos player is obviously trying to get up to 10, and the opposition player is trying to stop from going down from 10 by the looks of things. So we got a variety of different enemies that come in. So we start facing 2 Infernus Marines and 5 Guardians. Then 2 Wind Riders appear, 1 Terminator, 1 Violence Leaper, 1 Wraith Lord, 1 Captain, 1 200 Prime, 1 Chaplain, 4 Terminators, and a Psychophage finally. So scoring track as the Hellbrute advances through the gauntlet, the Chaos facing players' points increase while the opposition players' points decrease. The final score is determined by the highest stage that the Hellbrute has advanced to. For example, if the Hellbrute is killed after advancing to stage 4, then the Chaos player scores 4, but the opposition player will score 7. So the longer you last, the more points you'll score, and the less your opponent will score. So pretty cool, nice interesting way. So we got some boons here as well. As the Hellbrute carves its crazed path through the enemies, the Chaos Gods look on with interest and amusement. During the battle, each of them grants a single boon to the Hellbrute that can be used once throughout the game. The Chaos facing player may choose to use any of these boons at any point in the game. So we can increase our damage on our plasma cannon, increase the attacks on our hammer, regain lost wounds, and add 1 to our charge rolls. Then if you want to, you can photocopy this and customize your own enemy table. So you can make things a little more harder for you, for your Hellbrute if you want. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Then we got Hellbrute victory or Hellbrute defeat, which will be depending on if you survive or get blown up. Then again, we got that beautiful shot of our forthcoming factions and those new battle mats, which look really cool. Can't wait to add these to our collection. And I've got a feeling any terrain cards we get after a certain point, so only after issue 40 perhaps, will be more themed towards this. So we'll have a nice sandy colour to them instead of the dark gravel that we have currently. So it'll be quite interesting to see what happens with future deliveries and magazines. In our future then, quickly, we look at the Wraith Guard for issue 39. We have a new scenario and learn about strategic reserves. And of course, build and paint our Wraith Guard. Then for issue 40, we have our Chaos Terminators. We have build and paint guides and a brand new mission again. So adding 2 new elite units to our forces. It'll be quite interesting to see what units get swapped out for these. And of course, after issue 41, we start moving into our new force. So issue 41, I believe, is the Orc boss, and issue 42 is going to be a paint issue if the leaks are to be believed. It isn't confirmed at the moment, but we are drawing near to that, so hopefully Warhammer might be revealing something very soon. Right then, let's give you my final thoughts on this, and I'll see if I can edit this to below 40 minutes. Be right back. So there we go, delivery 10 is upon us, and it is a pretty chaos chock-a-block delivery. So yeah, we only get 2 units, but it's the final units for our Chaos Space Marines. So we add, of course, the Havocs, and we get to add the Helbrute. So not a lot. I'm planning out what I want to do. I'm thinking when we get the 37 and we get the faction ability stuff for Tyrannos of Space Marines, we'll be doing a combat patrol game with those 2 factions, utilising all their full rules. And yeah, other than that, pretty cool delivery. As usual, of course, I'll be putting prices up for you guys in somewhere, so you can see what you're saving and what your value worth is, etc. for each of the individual kits. The bonus then of the premium kit is great. That's going to add a lot of value to this delivery. The Chaos Daemon Prince is pretty pricey, as I said. And Howling Banshees are again another pretty high price kit. A lot of the Aspect Warriors have been priced at roughly £40. I think the cheapest is the Dire Avengers. But yeah, not too bad savings though for what we've been paying. So £40 for the premium kit, I think it was. So £2 over 20 issues. So yeah, £40. Pretty much for the premium kit. So pretty good saving. I'm pretty much getting the Daemon Prince for free there. So I'm going to give you my ratings as usual then. So overall, the contents of the magazine is pretty cool. 1 or 2 issues is a little lack on it. It's mostly the paint guide and then a heck of a lot of rules to cover. So yeah, not a lot to do in that issue, but still it's a progress in the collection. Some nice pages looking at different Chaos warbands, which is nice, give you some ideas of alternate colour schemes. So the Red Corsairs you could easily do with paints in this collection. Just paint random panels with Mephiston Red and pretty much follow the rest of the Black Legion painting scheme, really. But yeah, other than that, not a lot I can say. So as I was saying, ratings though, for plastic quality, thanks to the premium kit, it's going to be a 5 out of 5. We do get a heck of a lot for our money. Magazine content, again, I've enjoyed looking through what we've got, and I'm going to enjoy going through it with you guys in the individual issues, so another 5 out of 5. We do lose points though, as we have 0 for hobby and 0 for gaming. Yeah, no data cards, no battle mats or anything, no paints in this delivery. It's all kind of enclosed in the magazine and the models. So I'll knock off 1 point, so giving us a total for the delivery of 4 out of 5 then. If you didn't factor in those, it would still be a solid 5 out of 5 for this delivery. There we go though. I'm going to leave it there. Now need to record the premium kit more in-depth review. And I hope you've enjoyed this video. Don't forget to, of course, leave me a comment down below. Let me know how you're getting on with your combat patrol and your chaos forces. Let me know how you're doing with your premium kit as well. And then, yeah, I'm off to organise and sort out filming the next set of videos. And I'll probably start building that Daemon Prince for myself. So, thank you again all for watching. And I will see you next time on more Combat Patrol Carnage. Goodbye.